binder. Like every other performance, you're not supposed to read out of the binder, although you're allowed to look and give cues. Your speech is organized the same way, with an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. Your introduction is usually not part of your speech, like a sneak peek. You will go over the main points. You'll go there are three main points in it. So you'll go over your main points. You'll have something interesting, an attention grabber to get your audience invested in what you're saying, and then you'll go over the title of your piece, depending on how you want to do your intro. Just like extent, you do have to have sources. You have to be credible sources. I'm sure Ms. Gouveia will explain more about what credible sources are later when we actually get into extent and oratory. You will cite them the same way. You'll say according to this, according to that. You'll tell the audience where you're getting your information from. The time limit is the same as everything else. It's 4 to 6 minutes long, except this one is prepared ahead of time. And one of the most important things about oratory is that you're passionate about what you're talking about. Because I've seen oratories that mean nothing to the person, and you can easily tell, and no one gets invested because the person giving off the oratory isn't invested in themselves. But I've seen random things. Oratories don't have to be completely serious. My friend did one last year about a popular song, and it was called Hollaback Boy, and it was about, what is it? Who sings that song?
Gwen Stefani.
Gwen Stefani. It was a Gwen Stefani song, and he did an oratory about what it means. I saw one about why you shouldn't drink milk. I saw one about anything from the things that should be changed in the government. So like mine is about light pollution and the problems that causes. As long as you're invested in what you're talking about, whether it's funny or serious, the audience will be invested too. And that's the big thing with oratory, is that you have to make people think the same way you do. It's a persuasive speech, just like extemporaneous speeches. You want to make them understand your point of view about the topic that you're talking about, and that's helpful if you actually care about what you're saying. So yeah, I think that's about it for oratory. If you have any questions, we can talk to you later.
Yeah.
One more thing. You don't have to walk into oratory when you can. In mine, I'm going to be doing a triangle formation, which is something that a lot of debaters and separated speakers will use to segregate what their points, and you move during every point. But you don't have to. A lot of times, you just stand still and give your performance. It's really up to you. Look up. What do you see? In this room in particular, you see the ceiling and fluorescent lights. And if you listen closely, you can hear the soft hum of electric light. Electric light and pollution. Now, light pollution is completely different from every other kind of pollution. You can't see it as smog in our skies or sludge flowing down our rivers. Instead, it's the everyday light that you and I see that's produced artificially. And although that may seem like just a mild inconvenience, it's a very real problem with a litany of issues, including disrupting ecosystems, creating adverse health effects, and even stunting our astronomical and emotional growth in terrible above and original oratory. Now, one of the biggest problems caused by light pollution is the disruption of ecosystems and the animals that live there, according to Action Bioscience, a nonprofit organization for the protection of wildlife. Life on Earth was originated to be governed by light. The ecology, physiology, interactions, and functions of the organisms that live here are incredibly dictated by the presence or lack thereof of light. Now, light can help certain organisms become familiar with their environment, like sea turtles. When baby sea turtles hatch, they're drawn to the light of the moon reflecting off the ocean. But light from nearby hotels and cities sends them in the wrong direction. And with their survival rates already at all-time low due to their predation, these lights are sending entire generations of turtles to their deaths just so we can light up our industries. But some of the changes between species are affected as well. Changing the lighting of an ecosystem can either increase or decrease the amount of competition within an entire ecosystem. And since certain organisms show preference to activity during different lighting conditions, according to Action Bioscience, entire species are going extinct or being forced to move, like the geckos in Hawaii, just to find food. And the dangers don't stop here. In this added light, predators are having an easier time finding and killing their prey, which is a hugely unfair advantage to the predators. Anything from seals to snakes to fish are being forced to hide, just so they can live a little bit longer. And the problems don't stop with the fauna. Humanity is having an issue as well. According to the American Medical Association, lighting affects our circadian rhythm, which is a natural pattern our body creates. And these fundamental changes are linked to anything from sleep disorders, headaches, fatigue, stress, heart failure, and even breast cancer. Our natural 24-hour cycle of light and dark keeps our bodies functioning normally, according to Dr. Alexander Ding of the American Medical Association. And the disruption of these biological processes is keeping our bodies from being able to repair themselves. Now, David Glask, a researcher from the Imogene Bassett Research Institute, is able to shed a bit more light on the subject. He explained that breast tumors are more or less awake during the daytime and put to sleep by melatonin during periods of natural darkness. And this necessary melatonin is only available because it is triggered by darkness and is completely absent during periods of natural or artificial light, which explains why there are greater risks for breast cancer in areas of industrialized places, because the lights there are kept on 24/7. We are literally making ourselves sick and we don't even realize it. And every day, we continue to turn these lights on. We turn them on and we block out the stars. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk about is something that everyone in this room has seen, or rather, not seen. How many people in here see stars at night? 2, 3, about half. How many see the Milky Way? I can honestly say that I have never seen the dust clouds and star clusters in Ichabod's celestial home, and neither have any of you, because the beautiful city of Bentonville blocks it out with a subtle orange glow. And if we can't see the galaxy, neither can astronomers. According to Cornell University, astronomers not only have difficulty in time seeing our galaxy, but also taking scientific readings of it as well. These astronomers use something called a spectroscopy to help take readings of the sky. A spectroscopy takes a collection of the spectrum of colors an object gives off, and from that they're able to discover the chemical composition, the temperature, and even the speed the object is moving. And the thing that it gives off is known as a spectrogram, which is like a barcode with vertical black and white stripes. The only problem is the thin lines from the planets being blotted out from the bright white of our cities. And astronomers aren't able to see the stars anymore. And neither can I. I have always loved constellations and the beautiful stars that draw them out across our skies. But how many kids aren't going to get to see stars tonight because there are too many lights on? How many people are missing galaxies floating by because we're too anthropocentric to even turn off the lights? In this room, about 45, including me. And yet every morning we turn them on again and live our merry lives in an artificial kaleidoscope of missed opportunities. And we don't even realize it. But just turning off the lights every once in a while isn't going to do much unless everyone else does it too. For the sake of our ecosystems, humanity, and yourselves, spread the word. Tell everyone of the dangers we've created with our innovative bulbs and extensive circuits, and tell them that our world was created to be dictated by light. Including the darkness is only making it dimmer. If you need proof, all you have to do is look up.
Real quickly about oratory and extemporaneous speaking. These two events are real life events. Some of your parents, many of your parents, have to get up in front of a group at work or even a big room of people at work and present some facts, or maybe even be persuasive. Do you realize that? So this is stuff people do in their real lives. They might not get up and act out a storytelling book. They might not do that on a daily basis. A lot of them do public speaking. Also, do you think well-rounded human beings are able to talk about the world in a knowledgeable way? Yeah. If they hear something on the news, is it our responsibility as citizens of the world to come to try to understand what's happening, to be able to talk about it? Yes, that's extemporaneous speaking. Being able to come up with your own opinion, not the opinion of whoever's telling you on the news. Do you understand? So these are really, really important skills for you to develop. So I really want you to notice that there were some similarities between extemporaneous and oratory. Extemporaneous speaking and oratory. One, that they are both public speaking. Two, they have the same organization. Intro, at least three main points, conclusion. What does that sound like? An essay, right? You've seen something like this before. Okay, any questions about oratory or extemporaneous speaking? Am I missing anything?
And when you do oratory or extemporaneous speaking, like she said, it is a lot like an essay. So by having to write these, especially with extent, because you have to write them under a time constraint, you get really good at writing essays for school. So if you're needing help with essays or anything, I would highly recommend doing these two events because they're really, really beneficial, like she said, in daily life, but also in your schoolwork.
That's really good tip. Very good tip. Okay. Who's next?